I think if I asked that question in Chile, everyone would agree with their hand. So what I'm going to talk about today is sort of the influence social media has been having in this most recent case of student mobilization. This project is contributing to my honors thesis, and I also predict future projects since I was so personally involved in this movement. I actually studied abroad in Chile. I arrived in June 2011, just as the movement was sort of beginning. What was supposed to only be one semester sort of turned into 3 semesters. I think I attribute that mostly to my involvement in the Wishek, the Student Federation at the University of Chile. During that time, I worked with a lot of journalists and photographers. I think over those 2 years, I attended easily over 150 different protests. This fellowship was just another opportunity to return to the streets of Santiago. And this time I wanted to look more closely at like social media tools and how they're facilitating mobilization. And since I really only have a set amount of time, I can sort of only give a brief background to the movement. I think when we study Chile, if we ever study Chile, we point towards its economic progress and its growth, and sort of this long history that Chile has of democratic practices. But it's very important to also point out that Chile has the very same constitution implemented under the 17-year military dictatorship. And I point towards this constitution because one of its key features is its electoral system, a binomial system, that Pinochet left behind to sort of assure this continuity to the politics that he implemented during that time period. And what this system does is it basically creates this political stalemate between the two ruling coalitions, and it makes any major structural reform nearly impossible to pass through, since you need that 3/4 approval in Congress. And it has been this youth generation of Chile that has been at the forefront of sort of illustrating the discontent, and not just the education system, but this entire political economic model that has privatized certain institutions that, like public education, used to be considered a right, or healthcare, and so on. The movement has about 2 years since it started, and it began sort of with university students, but it grew to sort of incorporate other social actors, like environmental actors, secondary students, new issues like forming a new constitution, tributary reform, and so on. Students up to this point have not been successful in any concessions from the government. Right now it's a right-wing government with Sebastián Piñera, a billionaire, owner of major airlines in Chile, and one of the popular soccer teams. But this year is also a presidential election year in Chile. In November, Chileans will go out to vote, and one thing students have been very successful in doing is sort of implanting their demands into the proposals and debates of the candidates. And also around a dozen former student leaders are also competing for seats in Congress, which I think is very impressive considering they are all around our age. So it'll be interesting to see how this movement functions, having one foot in the street and one foot in Congress, or La Moneda, the presidential palace. And honestly, I could really talk about the student movement for hours. I think it deserves its own conference. I don't know if Sir can set that up. But for this particular presentation, I can really only talk about the findings and the things that I researched concerning social media. And I think it's clear all over the world that social media has been having this very important role, whether it's Egypt, Tunisia, Turkey, Brazil. I know that the next talk is on Egypt. But I chose Chile because of my personal background in Chile, and also, like other countries, it's getting to this very historical moment, and it's going to have, and it already has, a lot of implications for the entire region. And what we study here in Chile can perhaps be applied to other countries, or we can see how maybe students here in California can use social media to aid in efforts to mobilize. And in terms of my research methods and materials, really, the only thing I needed was this tear gas mask, and I thank Sir for financing the purchase of this mask. My research methods, I began with a very thorough literature review while I was still here in Berkeley. I mean, I know myself, and I knew that once I was in Chile, I would not sit in a room on a desk and study while people outside were protesting. So I went through decades and decades of historical material, of articles, of documentaries, of books, to sort of paint a picture of the historical trajectory of social movements in the past, and also internet use in Chile in general. The largest block of my time was spent on site in Santiago, around 5 weeks. I interviewed with a lot of students, a lot of different federations. I spent a couple of really icy cold nights at our high schools, which I don't recommend. I don't think I'll ever do again. I interviewed with some very notable student leaders. I think one of my favorite things was talking to Eloisa Gonzalez, one of the spokespeople for the high school organization, ASES, Andres Hierban, the current president of the FECH, and I think most notably Camila Vallejo. I think internationally she's the most well-known figure of the movement, a very, very, very communist figure, and also a current candidate for Congress. She's 24 and also pregnant and still doing her campaign and doing very well. So through this very first-hand observation, I came about most of my research, and also from my past 2 years of working in this movement, I think was the most useful aspect of researching. And because of time constraints, I can really only talk about one of my main findings, and I'll sort of split it up in 2 parts. First, I'll sort of explain the history of internet usage in Chile, and then I'll explore how students at the University of Chile have created this mobile application to sort of add an extra layer of security against police aggression at protests. To begin, my literature review sort of formed this historical picture of internet usage in Chile. It's a very recent history. Chile really has about 10 years of being widely connected to the internet. But what's very clear in everything that I've read through is that Chile continues to be one of the most internet-penetrated countries, not just in Latin America, but in the world. Chile has a population of about 17 million people. Of those, 7.3 million are connected on a daily basis to the internet. I mean, it jumps up to about 10 million if you consider cyber cafes and internet connection in public places. And of those 7 million, about 93% of them are connected to social media, which makes Chile about the 5th user of social media in the world. And it's per capita, Chile is also ranked 4th in Twitter users, and it's Facebook's 4th most important market in terms of reach. And I learned a lot of really cool facts like this at the Catholic University where I studied abroad. I actually got to talk to a graduate student in journalism, Sebastián Valenzuela, who has already done a lot of research concerning this topic. And his results already show a very positive correlation between increased Facebook use and increased protest activity. So the more you use Facebook, the more likely you are to go out and protest. So I'll just begin to talk about this application already. I'll sort of mention that there are 18.3 million mobile users in Chile and a population of 17 million. So I think there are some people that are so popular that they have 2 or 3 phones. And smartphones are increasingly becoming a larger share of the market. About half of Chileans have smartphones. And the main operating system continues to be Android, which is important to mention because most of these applications being developed currently only run on Android. And when I was sort of deciding what I wanted to talk about today, I remember that around this time last year, I was at a protest and I was hiding under cars. I was with my roommate, who's an exchange student from Santa Cruz. We were in an alleyway running from six cops with batons, and I think at the time we thought it was pretty funny and fun. But just 2 days ago, we're commemorating the first casualty of the student movement, a 16-year-old who was shot in the chest with a rubber bullet. And when I went back to Santiago, I talked to human rights volunteers who sort of observed the conduct of police forces at protests, and I asked them what new strategies are students using to defend themselves against aggression from police. And they pointed me towards 3 students at the University of Chile, engineering students who under the FECH have developed this application called FECH. These are the blue casket volunteers, and that's a typical protest. It's tear gas, it's the in Plaza in Santiago. That photo is of a 16-year-old who got beaten in the head with a baton. And this application that these students are creating is basically sends information on detained and injured students in real time. Using your smartphone through your GPS, you can indicate sort of hot conflict zones through. Okay, so this is the type of information that you register. You know, your name, your email, your street, your phone number, your group, which is sort of your number identification. And this is all privately managed by a human rights organization. It's not publicly available information. What these human rights organizations do, you can indicate, let's say I get arrested, I press an emergency button, and they can almost immediately send legal or medical help in case that I do need it. And I wish this was in existence when I was detained there. I mean, instead of 10 hours at the police station, I think I would have gotten out in 3 hours. And it's just 2 months old. It's been in practice 2 times already, 24th of June, 11th of June, and the next national practice is this Thursday, so it'll be used again. And it looks very promising. It still needs more time in trial. And since I'm running out of time, I think this is just one example really of the way students are using social media to sort of facilitate the process of mobilization. So for in the future and during this year, I think it'll be very important to keep tabs on the movement. Although I'm here in Berkeley, luckily I can use social media to sort of see what's going on, see the videos, see the photos, through Facebook, through my tablet, while I'm in class, it doesn't matter. It's a very important moment for Chile. This next president has a lot on their plate. If they don't respond to the demands of students in a timely manner, I think it's only going to intensify and radicalize the movement. So just to sort of conclude and give thanks to certain people, my mentor for always encouraging me to go out and get tear gas, the SURF staff and the grant itself for allowing me to return to a country that has deeply changed my perspective on all aspects of life. I'll thank EAP and my parents for letting me stay in Chile for such a long time. And most of all, I think, from very deep in my heart, I thank all the Chilean students who have sacrificed so much for such a very beautiful cause. And